Yeah, everyone, Mike here today with some thoughts here on Hitman 3. So I just beat the game as of 5-10 minutes ago, did a quick recording test, and here we are with some final thoughts on all three games. What I mean by that is if you haven't watched videos from the last 2 weeks, I've been playing through 2016 Hitman, 2018 Hitman 2, and finally 2020 Hitman 3. All three games have been or the first two games have been moving forward into their sequels, if you will. So if you played Hitman 2 and you owned Hitman 1, well, you can play it with the improvements they did in 2, and then same thing here with 3. All three games of the trilogy are available in the latest and most updated version of these games. So what that means is all three games have been pretty similar. If you watched the previous 2 weeks, there's not going to be a whole lot of new stuff in this video here, which is fine. I think these games are still pretty good overall, and yeah, I've had a lot of fun playing these games over the past couple weeks. So, real quick, if you don't know what these games are all about, well, it's about just getting targets. You gotta try and blend in, not get spotted, and the game in a way offers you an easy way to do a lot of these things by offering you mission stories, which are different ways for you to potentially get closer to certain targets. Obviously they're optional, and it's something I've talked about in Hitman 1 and 2, where mission stories were pretty good. They were nice ways to sort of get yourself closer to your target. It was a very convenient way of making them pretty accessible. However, I found in this game, it's not that I've not done the mission stories, but they didn't present themselves necessarily the same way they did in Hitman 1 and 2. And what I mean by that is, I think in most cases I actually did not do the mission stories. There's one map I did, and that was really cool. Because there was a lot of just solving problems, I'll put it that way, not to spoil anything. However, on most of these other maps, the mission stories have been, sometimes they've presented themselves, and I've done a little bit of them, but I've not had to. So
there's a keypad lock on the doors to the staff area. One moment.
Okay.
Right,
so normally we have to find the codes, but since this is kind of the first map, it's still a little hand-holdy, and we're getting some extra support here to help us.
Security here. One moment.
So.
You ready for some more fresh air, 47?
Alright, well. So we're trespassing, so we'll have to take one of these guys. Let's see. Maybe pick up a hammer. We can turn on distraction. We can hide. Then we'll let them deal with the distraction, and we'll become that person. Just gotta wait till the distraction is dealt with. And there you go. Oh, right. Whoopsie. You can't take female clothes. So we gotta deal with some other dude here, and then we'll be able to take his stuff. Now you're wondering why didn't he come? Because he was closer. I would have probably had to wait till he was finished his call. So there are little mechanics and little intricacies like that that you have to keep in mind as well, but it is what it is. You kind of have to keep a lot of these little extra things in mind. So we can probably just blitz past that guy. Make our way in here.
I can open that window remotely.
Okay. Sure.
Scan the lock with your camera and I'll have a try.
Oh God, this isn't happening. Really? Of course, sure. Why not? What a freaking waste
So now I could also take that guy's... I probably have the opportunity to take him out if I wanted his suit, but I don't actually need to. Anyways, that's kind of the general idea of Hitman. You know, I've done it in previous videos. It's not about killing people necessarily. If you want the best rating, you actually don't want to be doing that as much as possible. Or you can't do that at all, unless it's the target, really. So, yeah, it's cool how many different options and opportunities and stuff that present themselves in this game. But like I was kind of saying earlier, I think what's been weird about this one, and you know, maybe it's just with how they've designed things, is I've not found myself using the mission stories very often, which not a bad thing at all. I think it's still a pretty good game regardless. It's just now playing this with the mission story in place is like, oh, I've kind of done this part before, but I did it in a completely different way, so, you know, having this opportunity present itself definitely makes it pretty interesting. So let's make sure we're going to be able to walk our way around this floor without necessarily being spotted. And yeah, I'll keep this video short. Again, I've talked about this game a ton over the last 2 weeks. The only real thing I can add for this one is it does wrap up the story in a somewhat satisfying way. It also does open up potential, how can I say this? It does open up potential avenues for future games, but also like the current story arc in the trilogy is closed, so it's not one of those like open-ended endings that just kind of leave you hanging. They were kind enough to actually give this a more proper ending. So I know not to pull that, minor spoiler, but I know not to pull the server out immediately. And I do want to try and find a way out of there, so I can actually follow that mission story. We'll see if I can pull it off, but I would probably need a crowbar or a lockpick. So I'm just trying to see if I can spot one of those. I'm not finding one here. But anyways, I think that's it. I don't really have too much else to add, so no need to make this video longer than it has to be. In conclusion, Hitman 3 is great. I'm happy to see them make these 3 games. They took their time and, you know, came up with really cool stuff. Some of the mission setups in this game are really, really cool. So that's been a bit of a surprise, and how how much crazier some of the things can be in this game. But yeah, I think with that said, I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out next. You know, not that they've done all of these games and kind of established a nice formula, they've improved it gradually. I'm kind of waiting to see what they do next at this point. You know, what they've done is great. They've gone about it in a pretty smart way. The games themselves have been a little, I don't know, a little weird, I suppose, with how they were, I'm trespassing, so I ain't supposed to be back here. Anyways, yeah, it's been a little bit weird how they've gone through different publishers and so on and so forth, but, you know, at the end of it all, I think they've finally put out a really nice package with this. It's definitely a lot of game playing all 3 of them back to back, but ultimately it's been pretty fun and rewarding, so I can't complain too much about it either. And it's just trying to see if I can find a crowbar somewhere. There's one. I'll probably be trespassing as soon as I do this, though, right? Oh no,
I tried, but this is her day. It's her biggest exhibition.
I'm not trespassing. That's cool. Huh. I never even realized this was an option here when I did this earlier. So that's kind of interesting. Anyways, we'll end it here, and I'll see you guys next week with some other potential game.